Hello, people. It's Michaela Valera. I know it's like 4 in the morning and I'm doing an IG live. It's 4 in the morning if you're on the East Coast and I'm doing YouTube live. I'm about to go live on IG as well. So give me un momento, dame un momento. Okay. Okay. Buenas noches or buenos dias, wherever you are on the planet, to those in IG land and those on YouTube who are awake at this time. I am live from Cali, Colombia. A lot of people are awake. Wow. Okay, so I had to do this video while this was on my mind. I'm thinking in English and Spanish right now because I've been speaking so much Spanish. But I'm in Cali, Colombia, and I'm live on IG and I'm live on YouTube. And if you don't know about Cali, Cali is supposed to be the salsa capital of the world, right? I have known this for the past 20 years. If you follow me, you know that I love to dance, and that's what originally brought me to Colombia. If you listen to my other YouTube videos, I talk about my experiences in Medellin and Cartagena. People constantly telling me you have to come to Cali, and I already knew about Cali. So I'm in Cali, and there's a lot of things I want to say about Cali because there are some things I do like about this city, and I'll do another video on that. But yeah, right now, I'm going to talk about my experience tonight, okay? I just got in from dancing. And for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you probably saw my post earlier where I was just talking about how I'm going through a lot and I'm super stressed the fuck out, and I am. But I'm still living, so gotta keep on going. So I made myself go out dancing tonight because sometimes dancing makes me feel better, right? A lot of times it takes my mind off of my problems, and that's what I originally wanted to come here for anyway. So I went out dancing tonight in Cali, and I was in Cali last month, and I went to a place called La Topa Tolondra, which everybody says is like the spot for salsa dancing. So I went to La Topa Tolondra last month, and I have a video talking about my confusion in Cali, Colombia, because when I went to La Topa, I was not impressed at all. It was like the worst shit I've ever seen. If you don't know, soy de Nueva York. I'm from New York, and New York is the birthplace of salsa. And there's different styles of salsa, like New Yorkers could dance one way, New Yorkers, Puerto Ricans, you got Puerto Rican style, New York style, you got Colombian style, Cuban style. My experiences in Cubans can dance their asses off, Black Cubans especially, but Cubans can dance their asses off. In New York, people get down. So it's like, okay, Cali is the salsa capital of the world. Cali has there's a lot of beautiful salsa music that comes from Colombia in general. So when I went to La Topa, if you Google the good places to go dancing salsa in Cali, they're gonna always tell you La Topa Tolondra. Everybody tells you that place. When I went to La Topa Tolondra last month, it was awful, okay? It was a room full of people who could not dance. They were all dancing off beat, just doing random shit. And I wanted to stab my eyes out. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Okay? I've never seen anything so bad. And I think that if you don't know how to dance salsa, maybe you would have thought shit was popping because you don't know no better, but it wasn't good. And so, even when I'm talking to other people, I was talking to a dude from Bogota who told me he came here to dance. And I was talking to an Afro-American guy I think he's from Atlanta, somewhere in the States, who comes here all the time. He told me, oh, they dance salsa everywhere. And I'm like, yo, my experience in Cali and my experience in Colombia is I hear music, but people don't dance or they can't dance, which actually shocked me because there's Colombian style salsa is really dope. There's a lot of dope music from Colombia, right? So, okay, I was done with La Topa. Like, where I'm staying right now is like 2 blocks from La Topa. But I was like, I'm not going to go there. I asked this cute girl, which is one thing that I do love about Colombia in general, is that the women are freaking beautiful. Like, the women here are ridiculous. Like, it's funny because men don't even say anything to me here. Like, maybe in Cartagena they did, maybe, but in Cartagena the women are beautiful. In Medellin and Cali, that is a true statement. Like, some of the most beautiful women that you've ever seen are definitely in Colombia. And it's ridiculous. Like, all kinds of women. I'm like, I have a crush on a bunch of chicks. So there was a girl, like, this morning I went to get breakfast, and the waitress was really cute. And so I asked her, like, where's a good place to go dancing tonight? And she gave me 3 places, right? And she told me about this one spot, La Pergola. She was like, La Pergola is all reggaeton. But then this waiter, who is a waiter who I met in a restaurant, his wife is Colombian. He's from Mexico City. His wife's family's from New York, from the Bronx. He told me to go to this place, La Malandra. I think it's called La Malandra. Right? That's where he told me to go. So I see that La Malandra and La Pergola was like a couple blocks from each other. So I walked. Now, Cali is not a beautiful city. That's one thing about it. If you watch my videos from before, you'll see where I talk about how when I was in Cali last month, I was like, I hated it when I first got there because I'm a big city girl. I love cities. I'm from New York. I live in Chicago. I love a beautiful city, but Cali was like one of the ugliest cities I've ever seen. It's kind of like Detroit in the sense that, and no disrespect to Detroit, but I love people from Detroit. But Detroit is definitely one of the ugliest cities I've ever seen. I always thought Detroit was hideous. But one thing about Detroit that I remember is that shit would be ugly on the outside. Like, you would see a building that was really, really ugly on the outside, but then when you go inside, it was really dope. And so that's how Cali is, And also, the people in Detroit are fly. Let me say that, The women are beautiful. People know how to dress. Detroit people have swag. I just don't think the city is beautiful. I'm not a fan of the city. Cali is the same way. Like, it's not a beautiful city, but on the outside, things look really bad. But when you go inside, it's really nice. Like, where the place I'm staying at now, like, a lot of places are beautiful on the inside. So it's like hidden jewels. So the New Yorker in me, I'm used to walking places. I see the place was like a 15-minute walk and a 5-minute drive. I wanted to walk. I'm like, I'm just going to walk. I felt safe. I feel safe here for the most part. The New Yorker in me, like, I don't feel like I'm invincible because New York is not the roughest, toughest city. I don't feel like I'm invincible because I'm from New York, but because I'm from New York, I know how to pay attention. I got my peripheral vision, and I know when I don't feel safe for real. Like, I don't feel safe in the south side of Chicago. Like, I wouldn't walk 15 blocks at night in the south side of Chicago. I wouldn't. I feel safer here than I do in the south side of Chicago, okay? So I walked to the place, and I felt, safe. I get there. Here they check all through your shit, all through your bags, all through everything. I go in, the music was popping. I go downstairs, and this is at La Malandra, the first place. And when I went downstairs, it wasn't that packed. And at first, I'm looking at the dance floor, and I was like, I saw a bunch of people who couldn't dance. And I don't like looking at people who can't dance, number one. Number two, I can't stand looking at people dance salsa who can't dance, because salsa music is beautiful and exciting, and a lot of times people do too much. Like, people who don't know how to dance to it, they get overly excited and just doing a lot. And so at first I was like, oh God, more of this shit. Then I noticed a black guy. There was a few black men, actually. Another thing I love about Colombia, which I'll do another video about, talking more about things I love about Cali and Colombia. But there were some black men there who were really, fly. Like, they had afros. The black people here have a lot of natural hair. The black women, braids, locks. Like, you don't see black women here with perms or weaves. Like, you don't see that. So, like, a lot of natural hair, locks and braids. So these black dudes, they had these dope afros, funky style, and they could dance. And one black dude in particular was dancing his motherfucking ass off. And I'm looking at his footwork, and I'm like, damn, he's good. Like, he was good to the point of being intimidating. Like, I'm like, I don't even think I could dance with him, because I personally, I love to dance salsa, but I learned to dance salsa from with my female friends in New York, right? So I grew up around Dominicanos y Puertorriqueños in Nueva York, and Dominicanos is muy um, merengue, right? Dominicanos don't really play like that much salsa, like in the Heights or whatever. My neighborhood's a lot of merengue y bachata. But one of my best friends in college is Colombian from a town outside of Cali. She's one of the people that made me fall in love with Cali and the songs, the Colombian songs that sing about Cali. It makes you fall in love with it. They're beautiful songs. And she always told me from back in college about Cali and how much they could dance. And my best friend, who is Colombian from Queens, New York, she is my favorite dance partner. Like, I like dancing with her more than anybody, okay? So she can dance. And so this is what I'm thinking I'm going to see when I come here. So I'm looking at this dude. And also, in Cali, they have a different style of dancing salsa. There's a lot of different styles of dancing salsa, like I said. So I'm watching him and his footwork and his style. And I'm not a big fan of dancing salsa like with a partner, because I'm not a big fan of partner dances. I'm not a big fan of dances where, somebody's leading me. Like if you dance to reggae, you might dance with a partner, but the man is not leading you. He's not telling you when to spin and when to go left and when to go right. It's like you're dancing with a partner, but you have your own independence. And so for years, because I learned how to dance salsa from female friends, dancing with my female friends, where nobody was leading anybody, we just danced off each other. I prefer that, right? So for years, I did not like to dance with men in a partner kind of way. My father is a conga drummer, right? My father used to play with Mango Santa Maria, and if you don't know who he is, he's a legendary Afro-Cuban drummer. And so I grew up hearing salsa music, seeing my dad play, and my dad dances salsa. And for years he would say, "You're such a feminist," because I told him I don't like dancing with dudes. I don't like them telling me when to fucking go left and when to turn and all that shit. I don't like it. Like, I want to turn when I want to turn. I want to do moves that I want to do when I want to do them. I don't like having to like follow this dude. But if you're going to dance, if I'm going to dance with a man, he has to be a good leader. And this is the thing that's learned from salsa, right? In Latin culture in general, and it's something that I want to do another YouTube video talking about Latin culture and, Colombia in Colombia, but also Latin culture. Just like they really, really embody the male and female roles, right? And that's not always a bad thing. And this is the issue with the whole trans stuff, when people want to use non-gender specific language. You can't speak Spanish and be non-gender specific, because Spanish is all about the masculine and the feminine, okay? And one thing I like about Latin culture, whether it be DR, PR, Colombia, whatever, is that the women accentuate their femininity. They accentuate their hips, their booty, their breasts. They wear tight things that fit. And they are very feminine. And the man is, he's the man. And in salsa, the man's job is to make the woman look good. Because we all know women look better than men. I mean, I love men, love y'all. But women are the things that really tantalize your eyes. And so in salsa dancing, the man's job is to make the woman look good, to show her off. Now, the man can only do that if he's a good leader. His signals have to be clear, right? Because if you see a woman like all confused and stepping on her feet, that man's not a good leader. The man's signals have to be clear, right? But for me, one thing about me is that I am super touchy, right? So I don't really like people just touching me and shit, because I could be ticklish. My sides are very ticklish. I don't like people in my face too much. Like, the New Yorker in me is like, back the fuck up. I need some space. Like, I don't like people up in my aura. So salsa dancing for me sometimes, like, there's different styles, and there's certain styles where the man is not always holding on to you. Like, he lets go and lets you do your thing. I prefer that. I don't like to be having to hold on to him the whole time and waiting for him to tell me what to do. Especially when I'm tipsy, because like, even when I'm tipsy and then he's like, turn. And I'm like fucking getting dizzy. Like, okay, look, I've been drinking. I'm tipsy. I don't like all this spinning and spinning when you tell me to when to spin. And it's like I kind of have to like take out my own thoughts, take away like, my own, how I want to embody this music and kind of fall into line with him, right? And so I don't always love that. But sometimes when you find a good partner, it could be cool for a song or so. So whatever. So I'm watching this black dude. He was dope. I'm trying to study his footwork. This man comes up to me, asks me to dance. I was just sitting there watching people. This man asked me to dance. I started dancing with him, and he was boring as fuck, okay? Like, he was boring the shit out of me. And he smelled like garlic or too much alcohol. And of course, he just wanted to be close to me. So he kept grabbing me and pulling me close. And I'm just like, and then he kept doing this. I told you, I'm ticklish on my sides. So he's like digging his finger into my sides and he's pulling me close. And I had to fight the urge to push him off of me. Cause I'm like, stop fucking, like, I'm telling you, I have a cat spirit. I can be very touchy. Like, I like to be touched if it feels good. But a lot of times touch is irritating me, depending on how somebody touches me. And he was irritating me. But I'm trying to I'm trying to just, be easy. But I didn't like the way he smelled. The way he was dancing was boring the fuck out of me. And so I'm dancing with him, like, oh God, it's so boring, so boring, so boring. I finally sit down. I'd rather watch the other people. Then another man starts dancing with me. This other man, he was better, This other man, both of them are old men, kind of. The other man was better. I liked his style more, right? And then he's like complimenting my dancing. I sit back down. Then the first man comes to dance with me again. Then I dance with him. Sit down. So the two of them were flip flopping. Like they wouldn't let me just chill. Like every time I sat down, the other one popped up. So dude number one, I didn't like dancing with him, but he spoke English, right? So when, because sometimes, like, honestly, my Spanish is getting better being in Colombia because I really understand Colombians very well. Like, I understand them better than a lot of Spanish-speaking people. They speak very clear. And, and just like in Cuba, but Cuba's even worse, but just like in Cuba, people here, they just want to keep talking to you. So even when I tell people, because sometimes I don't feel like thinking in Spanish, and sometimes I just don't feel like trying to understand what somebody's saying, because some people I understand them clearly, but it depends on what they're talking about. Sometimes I'm just not in the mood. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to talk to people in English. Like when I get in a fucking taxi, I don't want people talking to me. I just want them to shut up and drive me, But in Colombia and in Cuba, people talk to you. They keep talking to you. And if I say I don't speak Spanish, even though I do speak some Spanish, but I might say that to shut them up, it doesn't shut them up. They just keep fucking talking to you. So I said that to the dancer number two. Like I was trying to, I just said, I don't feel like talking to music. So I just said to him, I don't really speak Spanish. So he said, he speaks English, talking about dancer number one, who I don't like dancing with. And so when he said that, dancer number one starts talking to me in English. And now I guess he felt like he had, some more points to speak to me or some shit. And, I just wanted to be left alone, first of all, for a second. I didn't want to keep dancing with a partner. I wanted to watch. I wanted to dance on my own. And they're like, have a seat. I'm like, I don't want to sit down. I want to stand, and I don't want to dance with you. But I don't want to be rude either, So there was a beautiful black woman in there who had locks, and people I have a video talking about Latina misconceptions, because people, when they think Latina or Latin, they don't think that a Spanish speaking person could look like me, or Juju, the gorgeous fucking Juju. I love her, from Cameron's ex-girlfriend, from she's on Atlanta. She's on Love and Hip Hop, New York. She's dark-skinned, gorgeous. Looks just like Gabrielle Union. And Gabrielle Union is from like North Dakota or some shit. Juju looks just like her, and she's Cuban, right? And then you have Amara La Negra. Amara La Negra is Dominican. Beautiful black Afro-Latina. So you have a lot of black, people who are way blacker than me and way blacker than my family in Colombia, in Cuba, in Peru, and, like Dominican Republic, so there's a lot of black Spanish-speaking people. Just like you have there's a lot of white ones who look like Susan from Oklahoma. You got people like that also speak Spanish in Latin America, and then you have the indigenous people and every other kind of mixture, right? So the thing that people don't understand, every time people see me dance salsa and they're like, oh, how you know how to dance like that? It's like this shit came from black people. No, I'm not from a Spanish-speaking country. Well, I'm from Nueva York, which is the birthplace of salsa, and I'm from Harlem, uptown New York City, where salsa was born. But it came from black people, okay? And that's one thing I love about Cuba, is that when you go to Cuba, you see all black salsa bands. You won't see that shit in Puerto Rico. You won't see that shit here. I haven't seen it. You won't see that in a lot of Spanish-speaking countries, but in Cuba, in Havana, the salsa bands are all black, like my complexion and darker. And Cubans can dance their motherfucking asses off. Like Afro-Cubans, they have a lot of Congo steps, like a lot of Congolese hip thrusting and stuff in their salsa. And I love it. So tonight, the best dancers were the black people, which is usually the case, right? Like usually the case. So I'm watching these black dudes, and if you looked at them and they didn't say nothing, you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell where they were from. They could have been from fucking Atlanta. Like they just look like any of the black dudes. Very stylish. Black woman with locks, beautiful. Also very stylish. So I'm just looking at that. Looking at the people behind the bar. There's two people behind the bar that had instruments. There's a woman that had maracas. And then there was a man behind the bar that had a cowbell. But the salsa music was not live at this place. It was, recorded music they were playing. So I stayed there long enough and I was ready to go. Like I wanted to go check the other place, La Pergola, which the cute girl told me about earlier. And she told me that, she loves to dance. And she told me about this place. And she thought I would really like it. And so... But she told me it was mostly reggaeton. And reggaeton is actually like... Reggaeton, I feel like it's a bad name. Like a lot of people say that they don't like it in the States. But there is good reggaeton. And reggaeton seems to be the universal music of Spanish-speaking people, right? Because they play a lot of it in Cuba. They play a lot of it... I haven't been to Puerto Rico in 10 years, so I'm not sure. But I think they probably do. Where else have I been? When I was in Costa Rica, I remember them playing a lot of reggae. But reggaeton is like very popular in a lot of Spanish-speaking countries. And so I'm like, okay, I just, for research purposes, I just want to go see and scope the scene. So I told dancer number 2, who he kept trying to tell me to sit down. I'm like, dude, I don't want to fucking sit down. Stop telling me to sit down. I want to stand up and just be left alone for a second. I don't want you talking to me. I don't want to dance with you. I just want to stand up and do, watch and be whatever. But I made the mistake of telling him, oh, I'm leaving. Of course, I'm telling him in Spanish because he didn't speak a word of English. And he said, where are you going? And I was like, to another place. And he said, do you mind if I come with you? And I was like, oh, okay. I guess maybe I don't want to be rude. Whatever. The next place was like 4 blocks away, right? So this guy was from Ecuador. He was from Ecuador. And I didn't understand him as well as I understand Colombians. And it could have just been him, like he was slurring his words. And see, I get annoyed speaking to people in English when I can't understand what the fuck they're saying. So I was learning Spanish, okay? So he kept talking to me. So he's like, okay, he's going to come with me. And so I was going to walk. And it's just 4 blocks. The New Yorker in me, I walk. It's no problem, right? He's like, oh, let's get in a taxi. It's really dangerous. And I'm like, dude, look, I'm not taking a taxi 4 blocks. It's right the fuck over there. He keeps asking me, what's the address? And I'm like, I'm showing him on Google Maps. Look, it's 4 blocks away. It's down there. Make a right, go 2 blocks, make a left. And then he just kept saying, what's the direction? He kept tapping me, which drives me insane. I can't stand people tapping me. Can't stand it. That I don't know how to say in Spanish. I didn't know how to say stop tapping me. And when you say it in English, Even when you say it in English, people get offended. Because my parents tap me all the time when they talk to me, both of them, and it drives me crazy. And every time I say, "Can you please stop tapping me?" people get offended. Like, "Oh, you don't want me to text you?" And it's like, "No, actually, I don't. Stop fucking tapping me." So that shit was driving me crazy. When I tell you, I can be super touchy, and I wanted to jump out of my skin. Like, stop tapping my shoulder. And I keep telling you, I'm not getting in a taxi. I'm walking these 4 blocks. You don't have to come with me, but leave, stop fucking tapping me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still walking. He keeps telling me, "Oh, it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous." And I'm like, whatever. Like, I didn't feel like it was so dangerous. I mean, now, granted, those streets, when I walked, to the next place, there was a lot of junkies. Like, there was a lot of junkies. And Cali is not, like I said, is not, that shit was like, it's not like New York at night. I appreciate New York at night because in New York at night, no matter where I'm at, I could be in Brooklyn, the Bronx. Like, I always feel safe. Like, when I'm in New York, I never feel like something's going to happen to me. Like, I just feel safe. And I've always felt like that. Even in the 80s and 90s when New York was more dangerous, that shit, that walk, it was real skeezy, right? So he kept telling me it's so dangerous, so dangerous. For a second, I thought, but then I'm thinking, well, you're with me. Anybody going to fuck with me while you're with me? And I'm dressed like this, but I still would have gone anyway, whatever. So I walk, and the whole time he keeps talking about, let's get in a taxi, what's the address? I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up, like I'm walking, right? So we get to the place, and I went inside, go upstairs to the 7th floor, and the girl at the front told me there's a lot of people. So I go upstairs to this place, and every time you go into a club here, this didn't happen in Medellin. When I went to a club in Medellin, they didn't do this, but in Cali, I've been to 3 places, and they always check, they check in my waist bag, they check all through your book bag, make sure you don't got nothing. And you got, cops with like fucking bulletproof vests and shit, just checking everything. Then, go in, get on the elevator. There's a cop on the elevator who was like the elevator man, bulletproof vests and weapons, right? We go up to the 7th floor, and there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people, but the shit was whack. Okay, when I got up there, it was all like mostly white Hispanics, like white or mestizo. Mestizo was like the J-Lo type, so it was like that type. It wasn't. I didn't see any black people up there, so nobody looking like me, or no, there was no black people up there. It was all like the mestizo, white kind of Hispanics, and they could not dance. Like, the shit, it was a room full of people, a packed ass dance floor. It almost seemed like a penthouse or like a rooftop or something. It was a nice space to have like a party, and it was packed. But it was like nobody could dance, and I was like, oh no, I can't with this shit. I need to go. Like, I sat there for a couple minutes, and again, the man is saying to me, "Oh, have a seat." I'm like, I don't want to fucking have a seat. I don't want to have a seat. I want to leave. I was there for like 4 minutes. I saw what I needed to see. I didn't want to stay there. I was good. So he follows me, and I go downstairs, and I was gonna walk back to where I'm staying, and he keeps telling me, "Oh, it's so dangerous." I'm like, okay. He's like, "Oh, why don't you get in a taxi? Where are you staying?" And there are a lot of taxis outside, but I could tell he was like trying to find out where I was staying. And the man was, I feel like he was harmless, but I just wanted him to get away from me. Like, I was tired of him talking to me. And I just wanted to be left alone. Like, I can be very antisocial, right? And I don't like it when a dude just attaches himself to what the fuck I'm doing. And I don't like that, because I'm like, first of all, what if there's another dude I want to talk to? You over here messing up shit, and I don't even know you, nor do I like you. So he's asking me, so I was going to walk, and he's like, "Give me to walk with you." And then he's like, "Well, let's take a taxi." But the thing is, in Cali, there are different apps you can use. They're like Uber, right? So there's an app called Way Cali. There's an app called Cabify. It's just like Uber, and it's cheaper than a taxi. And so I would rather call that because, number one, like, I don't want to get in the taxi because I'm like, if I get in the taxi, are you paying for the taxi? Because if the taxi is, more money and I can get it cheaper, then And I don't want you taking a taxi with me thinking that you're coming to where I'm coming to, because you're not, you know? And so I called, on my app, I called the freaking thing, and it came in 2 seconds and picked me up, and I got in it, and the man was standing there he had this angry look on his face. That's the thing I can't stand. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, I posted something like 2 days ago, just going on and on and on about how I can't stand men who act entitled. I can't stand dudes that attach themselves to me, and I didn't invite them over here, and then they have an attitude when they don't get what they want, like they have to get what they want. Dude, I don't even fucking like you, nor do I know you. Get the fuck away from me, okay? He was looking at me. The look in his eyes was like he was gypped or he was mad or something. That shit makes me want to curse people the fuck out. Like, don't look at me like that. Because, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So anyhow, I was like, deuces. And I left. And as I'm in and then because he kept telling me how dangerous it was, he kept saying, oh, muy peligroso, like over and over and over again. And I thought, well, he keeps telling me it's so dangerous. Maybe I should, not be naive. And even though I felt like I could walk and I wanted to walk, but I'm like, when somebody keeps telling me something is so dangerous, I'm like, if now I go walk and something happens to me, and he kept, saying it's so dangerous, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna call, a taxi. It was like $1.50, okay, for me to take the taxi back over here. So I called it, left him. But I just want to say that there's no way in the world, okay, no way in the world that Cali is the salsa capital of the world. That shit is a lie. And the people who keep saying that, like, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, okay, so if you follow me, you know that I'm a critical thinker, right? I don't just jump on bandwagons. A lot of people just repeat things because that's what they heard. They heard somebody say that, so they repeat it. There's a lot of YouTube bloggers on. There's a lot of bloggers on YouTube, mostly men. A lot of Black American men on YouTube who have blogs about Colombia, and they talk about Colombia, and of course, men come here because women are beautiful. I understand that. But a lot of them will talk about the nightlife like it's so popping. It's not fucking popping, okay? When I was in Medellin, it wasn't popping. Like, the girls in Medellin was just kind of like trying to get dudes to pay them to have sex, and when I went out in Medellin, they were listening to Biggie and Jay-Z, a bunch of New York hip hop, and I'm like, I didn't come to Colombia to hear New York hip hop. That's not what I wanted to hear, right? But nobody was dancing, regardless. And everybody kept saying, you have to go to Cali. You have to go to Cali. Everybody in Cartagena, everybody in Medellin, you have to go to Cali. And I already knew about Cali. They're like, I don't even watch the Narcos shit. But friends of mine who watch Narcos said they knew about Cali because in Narcos they said, oh, Cali is the salsa capital of the world. Everybody always says that. No, it's not. Because I don't see live music like that. Like, if you go to, like, in New York, in Nueva York, in Cuba, is muy música en vive. Okay, so there's a lot of live music in Cuba everywhere. Like, in Cuba, you walking down the street, there's live music in this restaurant, that restaurant, these musicians on the sidewalk. I mean, good musicians, good music, good dancers everywhere in Cuba. Okay. In New York, you could find. I mean, there's so many places I've gone in Spanish Harlem, in the BX with some bomb ass dancers, really good salsa dancers. In Colombia, not so much. Like, yeah, I did see a couple good dancers tonight, a couple. But it wasn't like the place was bumping with good dancers. It wasn't. and go into a room, a big rooftop full of, people that was packed and they all sucked. I'm like, this shit is not the salsa capital. People here can't even dance that well. Actually, there's also a video I found on YouTube recently. I should post it below on my YouTube. It's in Cali, and it's like a block party or something. And it's all black Colombians. Like, it's all black Colombians. Like, everybody's like my complexion and darker. Like, a lot of them are darker than me, A bunch of dark skin, like black people, okay? Black Colombians. And all of them suck. And I'm looking at this video and I'm like, none of these people can dance. Like, they're all dancing off beat. They're just doing random shit. And I'm like, I've never seen a bunch of black people that dance so bad. Like, this is not the salsa capital. You cannot call yourself the salsa capital and just have a couple of good dancers. And I have to fucking dig so hard. And I still just find mediocreness, or I find two people who could dance. It's not like that in Cuba, man. So to me, the salsa capital is either Havana, Cuba, or New York City. Uptown New York City, not Brooklyn, Uptown New York City, maybe Queens, I don't know. Uptown New York City and Havana. Those are the salsa capitals, not Cali. Now, to anybody who is watching these videos, who knows about Cali and who knows salsa dancing, not because there's a lot of people. I've had this, discussion with like the dude from Bogota, like Colombians' opinions. I don't even care anymore because like they can't dance. I'm sorry. Like the majority of them. Like, I did see a black dude tonight that could dance, but a lot of Colombians, I don't even think they know what they're looking at. And my friend from New Orleans. I know a girl from New Orleans who lives in Cali. She's been living here for 2 years, and she dances salsa. And she's the first person that told me the truth, and one of the only ones. And she said when she moved to Cali, she thought her salsa game was going to get better and improve. And she said, listen, girl, let me tell you, they love to play salsa music here, but they can't dance to it. She told me that, and I believe her because she's from New Orleans, and New Orleans is some badass shit. I have I have a couple of videos about New Orleans. I love New Orleans, and I love partying in New Orleans. And I've come across some of the best dancers, even salsa. Like, I have a friend, Julie Banks. Julie, if you see this, she actually, is a super dope woman, born and raised in New Orleans. She is such a beautiful salsa dancer. Like, I can't even dance with her because I'm so like mesmerized. I just want to stare at her. And I'm sitting here staring at her trying to dance, and then somebody snatches her up because she's so dope. I've come across some really good dancers of a wide variety of dance styles in New Orleans, whether it be hip hop. I used to think that people in New Orleans couldn't really dance to reggae, but like a couple of months ago, I was in New Orleans and I met some people from New Orleans who got it in even to that. Hip hop, whatever. So New Orleans people know what they're talking about. And I knew that this girl knew what she was talking about. She said, no, it's a self-proclaimed salsa capital. They love it, but they can't really dance to it. And that is what I have found to be true. Now, the black dude who I saw tonight, who was really good, I wish I could have got a video of him. And I was looking at his moves, and I want to like study more of the Calieno. I think it's what is it? I don't know how you say it. Calieno? I don't know. The Cali style. Estilo de Cali. I do want to study more of that style because they do a lot of like, well, I'm not going to do it now. I'm not going to get up. But they do like a lot of hip twisting, and their footwork is very different than Puerto Ricans. It's very different than Cubans. So there is a distinct style from Cali. And it would be cool to learn more about it. But it's like, it doesn't seem like the bulk of people in Cali know how to do it. So I saw one dope dude tonight. You can't be the salsa capital and have so few good dancers, So I just need to speak that truth. And I have a headache. I forced myself to go out because I haven't been feeling that great over the past few days. And I've just been going through a whole lot of shit that, I'm always going through a lot of shit that I don't even talk about. But that's also one of the reasons why I dance, like people see me, you see me dancing in my bikinis, and I'm always trying to educate people and tell them, like, listen, these dances of the African diaspora, they have medicine in them. And when I dance, it helps me to transform energy. When I'm dancing, I can't really focus on the reasons why I'm upset or the things that's wrong in my life or the shit that's stressing me the fuck out. I don't get stressed easily, and I have my ways to deal with it. But the past week has been extremely challenging for me for a number of reasons. I always say I'm not an actress, but I do act a little bit because I do not always display the things that I'm going through. So I might seem fine, and I try to be fine, but behind the scenes there be some shit. And so earlier today, I like damn near had a breakdown. I was like sitting like out in public eating and like crying and trying not to cry and trying to hold back the tears. And I'm not even a crybaby, but it's a lot. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make myself go dancing tonight. I didn't go last night. I'm going to make myself go. And also for research purposes, because I've always wanted to come here, and I'm severely disappointed. Now, I'll be back to Cali again. I will be back to Cali again, so I will keep seeing what I find, but I don't expect to find much. But I'm going to keep doing some research. But I feel like if I have to try this hard to find, a bunch of people who can dance, then you can't be the salsa capital. You just can't be, Just can't be. So, but if you know anything about Cali and salsa and stuff like that, and you have your 2 cents, and you want to tell me about some other places to go or some shit I'm missing, please share. But I feel like a lot of the blogs and stuff. Oh wait, what's the other place? Menga. Menga is a town outside of Cali that some people told me to go to, but there's some YouTube bloggers I follow who did some videos in Menga, and they were like, "Oh, it's popping. There's all these clubs and blah blah blah." But then in the video, and I'm looking at it, I could look at the people dancing, and I could see that they couldn't dance. Now, the New Yorker in me is always going to keep it real. Some people don't like New York for that, but New Yorkers, we're going to keep it real. We're not going to and that's the thing. In New York, you have to show and prove. We don't just give somebody props because you're from New York, or because you did this, or because you're friends with this person, or because you know this person. No. If you're good, you're good. We will say that shit. And if you're not, we'll say that shit too. That's New York style, okay? And salsa was, despite people think it comes from New York City, right? And there are different styles of it. But when I read, like if you Google about salsa in Cali, when you read about it, they say, that Cali overtook New York as a salsa capital because New York didn't have enough Spanish-speaking people who were into it. All that shit is bullshit, okay? There's no way in hell that Cali, Colombia is more of a salsa center or a salsa capital than New York City. That is not true. And anybody who really knows how to dance can see that. So again, I have a lot more to say about Colombia because there's a lot of other things that I came here for the dance, and I'm not impressed by it, but there are other things that I really love about Cali and Colombia in general. And I will share that in other videos. It's so funny. As I speak, I'm also thinking in Spanish, like my brain. So if anybody knows on a topic, feel free to share your comments, okay? And it is 3:49 a.m. in Cali. So that means it's 4:49, 4:50 on the East Coast. A lot of you are listening to me right now, which is kind of shocking. But I'm going to shut up so I can go to sleep, and so you can go to sleep and do what you need to do, all right? So I'll talk to you later. Good night.